Hi everybody, this is Heather with Ohio Bento. I'm back today with a requested video to talk about why I'm moving my long-term bullet journal collections from my Leuchtturm 1917 Dot Grid notebook into a disc-bound system. The Leuchtturm notebook is one of my favorite notebooks. You do get a lot of ghosting, but I really enjoy using this as my bullet journal. But one of the things that I noticed is that I started a few really long-term collections. Things like my reading list. It has not only books that I've read, but my reading wish list. So it's going to take me longer to get through this list than I will take using up my journal. For me, this reading list will hopefully be an ever-growing, ever-evolving type of collection where I can keep this forever and have a list not only of my library and what's on my bookshelves, but how much I liked each of the novels that I've read. And I really was getting disappointed with thinking that I would have to have a little bit of it in this notebook, a little bit of it in my next notebook. And then I also didn't like the idea of having a permanent notebook only for this collection, because to get 250 pages is going to be ridiculous. So if I had a notebook just for collections, then I would have to segregate it out and determine how many pages I wanted just for my reading collection, and then how many pages I want for a wine tasting collection or my pen collection, things like that. So to solve this problem and keep these long-term collections able to be moved, add pages, remove pages, change things around, I decided to go ahead and start putting them into a disc-bound system. A disc-bound notebook system is exactly that. The binding of the notebook is made by these little discs, and what you can do is add and remove pages very, very easily. So pages are punched with these little funny mushroom shapes, and they fit right over the edges of the discs. So that allows you to be able to remove pages, add pages wherever you want. You can do things like dividers to separate different sections of your notebooks. You can also purchase a paper punch. This is the Create 365 Happy Planner punch. It says it will punch 3 sheets. Depends on how thick the paper is. Sometimes you can get more than that in there. But it works just like a regular paper punch. You put your paper in there and push down on the lever. I purchased this one at Michael's, and I chose the Happy Planner one simply because I can use a 40% off coupon, and it goes from $30 down to less than $20. So far, I've not found a system or a punch that isn't interchangeable. What I mean by that is if you buy pre-punched paper from the Happy Planner, or the punch from the Happy Planner, or the tool system, or the ARC system, they're all the same shapes and sizes, so they will work together. The book that I chose is the tool system. It's spelled T-U-L, and the U has a bar over the top. I chose this system because it was the least expensive of the ones that I saw that were easily available where I live, because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. So I didn't want to invest a lot of money. I got a plain black cover. I got the junior size is what they call this. It's basically an A5 size. It's about the same size as the Leuchtturm. So you can see side by side. The cover is a little larger. The discs take up a little bit of space. These are the smallest discs that they offer. You can purchase a medium and large size discs if your notebooks get really big. But it's approximately the same size as an A5. So the cover is larger, but the paper size is closer to an A5 paper size. The actual size of the paper is pretty close to the Leuchtturm. Even though the cover is large, the paper is quite a bit smaller. There's a good bit of room here. When you purchase the notebook, it comes with some lined ruled paper and a front page like this. So this is what their ruled paper looks like. It has a header box and 3 little boxes over here so you can write down page numbers or anything like that. And the lines here are actually a bunch of teeny tiny dots. They're too small to count and use as a measurement system, but they make the page not look so harsh. So you can see the solid line up here versus the dotted line down here, and I really like that. As you can see, none of the pages are numbered because they are so mobile. It's very, very easy to remove pages. I found that I can remove and add 3 to 4 pages at a time without significantly bending the little tines on the paper. If I'm removing 1 page at a time, I find that it does kind of bend a little bit when I try to put it back in, so it's better to do a couple pages. You can get some different discs. I know the Happy Planner system at Michaels, you can purchase pink or gold discs in different sizes, and they've got a cute little heart cut out in the center. So I may go for some different binding discs soon. I like the gold ones, and I've also seen some aluminum ones online that I'm really tempted for. But they had different covers, a couple of different colors, a clear, which I thought about getting and putting a pretty paper in front, but I decided just for a basic black to start. I also purchased the plastic tab dividers. It came in a pack of 5 different colors. And I also purchased a pack of graph paper. So their graph paper is actually pretty nice. It's very, very close in size to the dot grid on the Leuchtturm. It's slightly bigger. So I wonder if it's because the Leuchtturm is done in a metric system and this is most likely closer to a standard system, US system, going by inches. The top and bottom have this blank area, which you can write page numbers or headers or things like that on. At first I thought I would have preferred the grid to go all the way to the border, but I kind of like having this nice frame of white paper. They do have a dot grid, but the dots themselves are very dark. They're actually darker than the graph paper. So I chose, they're this color here, and they're big and kind of big dots. And so I found it a bit distracting. And I didn't care for their dot grid. If it were lighter in color or the dots were smaller, I probably would have purchased it, but I didn't care for it. As far as actual writing space goes, the graph paper for the tool system is a little over 12 centimeters wide, which gives you 24 boxes, by almost 19.5 centimeters tall, which gives you 38 boxes. So that's really close to the Leuchtturm. The Leuchtturm has 13 centimeters wide writing space, which gives you 26 boxes, and it has also 19 centimeters tall. So the height is the same. You get the same number of 38 boxes in height, but you do have one less box in the horizontal. Now, as far as paper quality goes, compared to the Leuchtturm, you can see that the paper is a lot whiter. The Leuchtturm has quite a yellowed paper. It works really well with most ballpoint and gel pens, but fountain pens bleed straight through this paper. As a very, very quick pen test, everything seems to write really nicely on this paper. The Metropolitan fountain pen tends to bleed just a little bit. See, I can see in some of the darker areas where it has bled through just a tiny bit. The Stabilo .88 marker, as well as ghosting a good bit. The highlighter, of course, on the edges where it gets thick is coming through. And the Papermate Inkjoy Gel 0.7. Here's my pen testing for my Leuchtturm. And you can clearly see on the Leuchtturm, you can see straight through the paper. You can read everything that I've written. And here you can't. So it does behave a lot better as far as bleed through and ghosting and things like that. This paper seems to be very absorbent, but it's really thick, so things tend to absorb and dry very quickly, but because the paper is nice and thick, very thick, it doesn't bleed through to the backside, which is really nice. I like that. So what I've used this for so far is my reading log, and I absolutely adore it. I'm so excited. I really like being able to move pages around. This is just a wonderful solution for me.